Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream here on the twitch.tv/Xisuma doing the redstone for the Hermitcraft and moving like this over and over again. Whatever. You know these intros, they're always goofy, they're always dorky. Lucaro, Chiwi Pepper, Forgil, Mace School, Curls of Doom, Hero Blender, just some of the peeps in the chat throwing the bananas. We're going to do some redstone today. Here are my notes. Oddly just laid out like this because why not? Also thought I might as well show you something I made the other day. Dang it, I was sort of like right next to it and then I flew over. Oh, there it is. Now I can see it. This thing right here. Now, before I actually played the Hermitcraft trading card game, I thought I'd make a contraption for it in which you can change the health. Like you can knock it down, right? Like each one of these heads could have a custom texture with some numbers on it, but after playing the game I realized, well, you move or you do damage, you know, 30 to 90, 100, sometimes more, and you can heal. So this contraption ended up being entirely useless, but the exercise was pretty good. As you can see, it's a piston tape feed. It's got a certain amount of entries in it too. You could possibly shimmy up the redstone to have like an extra composter, but this is a really cool mechanic of the composter. You can hold armor stands wearing heads, and those heads could represent different sorts of information. So this is just a little something to remember and know about, you know. Balemaster says TCG, that is a trading card game, Vintage Beef's trading card game to be precise, and AJ O'Royal is here with the Amazon Prime subscription. Thank you so much, my dude. Appreciate your support. We also have Rosetta. I think I'm actually saying that right. Rosetta. Where have I heard that name before? Rosetta Stone? Isn't that a thing? Rosetta, thank you for signing up via Patreon as well. Got a new Patreon right there. What things are we going to need today down here on the hotbar? Not entirely sure. Haven't had as much time to think about this as I wanted to. It really kind of came down to, okay, got to stream now. I've had so many things going on today that I've needed to prepare for. And just things that came up that took time and, you know how it is. It's life, right? So for the arena layout, I figured we should have a rule book lectern possibly on hand, a reference chest. We're going to space out the arena elements and put the weakness board in the sky. Now I have an image on my other screen of the arena, and we will start off simply by almost rebuilding it as Beef did, and then potentially discuss the layout a little bit, make it a little different in places. Because we're going to build an actual proper big arena around this thing, right? That's the idea, I think. Huntress says Xisuma. That is me, apparently. That is me. Let's go build it over here, actually, on this side. Yeah, so the border of this whole thing is just this stuff. Kind of looks to me like it's 3 blocks in. I felt like when I was playing it, the size of the arena was just a little bit cramped. So I'm gonna make this initial sketch out just a little bit bigger, is the idea. Now I've got this on the screen with my noises in the ear, so I need to minimize it. Uwu, Emil Uwu, thank you so much for 17 months. I am back. You are indeed back. Thank you for your continued support, my dude. Anis Crafter says, X, how you doing? I feel alright now that I'm streaming, but I've had a pretty anxious day. Got some stuff happening over the next couple of weeks that I'm not really looking forward to. And it's just, you know, it's weighing on my mind. I'm hoping it's one of those things where, like, once it gets underway, everything's good and you forget about it. What was I worrying about, you know, that kind of thing. Now, the way that Beef had it laid out here, your hand was slightly off-centered. I don't know why. I think in the game it would make more sense if it was actually centered. Or should I say your hand, right? I've given myself some extra distance again here, which we may just need naturally for the components that we're going to interact with and stuff. One of those will be redstone lamps that light up depending on what player's turn it is, and I think the place to put that Like when you're the player standing in the arena, you're often looking across at the other player's side. So that feels like a nice spot just to have a couple of lamps, right? The closeness might pose some redstone challenges. That's all good though. Also, the arena's very flat. And yeah, there's a component of it that doesn't need to be there, which was the dispenser at the back of the arena. So then when we do this, we've got all of this dead space back here. And already by making it bigger, it does feel like, oh, maybe Beef had the measurements down, you know? Soon find out. A cool way would just be to auto-dispense the card at the end of the turn, then the other player could see their card by accident. Yeah, that's on my list of automations. There's a few of them. I didn't run over them yet. The first priority was just to sketch out the arena a little bit. Actually have it here. I think it's a nice sort of inspirational thing to look across and see what's going on. Oops. We got a noise in the ear right there. And Evil X, you heard it, you saw it, you know it. Who is it? It's Randy Nicole, 2002. 93 months. They're closing in on 100. I'm woefully unprepared. I remember having an idea at one point in time. I will have to figure something out soon. Randy, thank you so much for the continued support. Yep, 7 more months to go and it's up to 100 months. Appreciate you, my dude, and all you do. Thank you for sticking around over these years. Hope you continued to be entertained. There is also this asymmetry with the arena where on one side you have the status like off there. We also got to consider that people will be watching in this arena. So I'm kind of thinking maybe making it smaller isn't the worst thing ever. So like Beef had it so that you would. Oh, we need another shade of concrete here, I think. Like this one. How did the skull get back in my inventory? I thought I removed that. Beef had it so that you would have your shulker boxes and stuff here, but we're going to go one block further back. So then there's like this wall here. And then you got the 3 shulker boxes of health. And the problem I see here is that these are things that the refs of the game are going to interact with, and they sort of end up standing. I mean, it's right next to where the health is displayed, so yeah, I'm not really actually seeing reasons to move that. Is that concrete or concrete powder? It's concrete. Then we had sea lanterns. Then we had the darker shade again. And then all over this stuff we're going to have item frames. So that's like your hermit in action, right? Sea lanterns next door. Then these blocks. And then 3 tiles of white concrete. What deck would you like to build, X? Says M Zebras. I wanna build a deck with all of y'all. Like, I think it would be fun to like openly strategize and talk about deck building in streams and stuff. But as for type, like one that I think I can win with, right? Like, I know it sounds obvious, but do I know enough about the game to say anything else yet? The way those lamps line up, kind of feel like you could leave them there, but they kind of feel a bit odd in that spot. In fact, looking at it now, the place that the lamps should be is probably like all along here, just below all your status stuff, right? Like, hey, it's your turn, you know, it's lit up for you. Okay, there was something else that I had an issue with here, which was the line of sight. And you got the 1, 2, 3. Just occurred to me that I think it might be possible for me to import Beef's maps actually into the world. Doing it live would probably be a little too much work, but I think I can bring the maps on if I really need to into this world, because it kind of occurs to me that being able to see them right now would be most helpful. Let's leave that there. I don't know, I kind of want to have it go back by 1 block. Don't ask me why, just that's the feeling. Yeah, it just lines up nicer with this here. So, You know, in the game I felt like I was stretching my neck and looking up a lot. Maybe the way you use the zoom key can help a little bit. We could actually, you know what, I feel like it would be really helpful just to hop on to the actual server and sort of go back and forth with what we're doing here, so we'll do that. I wonder how many hermits would build decks around their own cards would make the gameplay less predictable, I would think. They'd avoid the meta in place of branding. This is Jigrabble. You know, you could have a... Beef could do, like... I always think it's... When we create games and whatnot, I always think it's, like, a good idea to factor in some replayability, because you put all this immense effort into something, and then after the game's done, sometimes that's it. So, something that would be really cool for Beef's game would be, after the tournament is done, to maybe have a play your own deck tournament where Beef like gives us decks based on our own hermit. You know, like you're the only hermit in the deck kind of thing, just for fun, like nothing crazy serious or anything. I think I might pack up this mess, by the way, because like I bet we'll wander around the server and then all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, I need something out of my shulker box, even though I thought I was coming over here just to look at stuff. That's usually how it goes, right? And I'm now building down there. As you might be able to tell, I have been working a little bit off camera. Had a bit of time today just to chill out and like listen to some things while I was just grinding away in this Minecraft world. Yeah, it's nice to have a project you can just tune in and tune out, as they say, you know, just like drop in and stop thinking about stuff. Just place some blocks, keep it simple. Hey X, not sure if you mentioned it, but do you plan on joining us for the testing of Potato Wars later today, says Total Burger? I can't make it, unfortunately. I have other things to be doing at that time. Mainly just getting ready for tomorrow. But yeah, well, I'll play it at some point for sure. Well, I know it's 30. I've learned that. I've learned the end of the tunnel where Beef is 30. So I can keep using my rockets and stop anticipating the end. I know exactly where it is. Softy Bear says hi. Welcome, Softy Bear. Jigrabble says, that creeper still gets me sometimes. Yeah, it's a mischievous old one, isn't it? Hey, Dante Redeye, thank you, my dude, for supporting me with some gifted subs and supporting our community as well. Rock and Roll, oh, Rock and Low even, and Sektrov, y'all been gifted subs. Be sure to say thanks in that chat to Dante Redeye. Appreciate you, my dude. Beef has a tunnel now. Yes, I believe Pixel Rift built it for him. Very kind of him to do that. So yeah, when I was over here, aha, look, some stuff has been left over. I felt like I was wrangling, like looking up a lot. By the way, that's a rare Explorer type. We never got to play False. I think rare means that they have a blue, yeah, they have a blue attack, right? I think I've also put that in the wrong spot. So like when you get close to it, it feels like you're looking upwards a lot, back and forth. So I'm wondering if you had one slot further down to look at, if that would be handy or not. Might limit the view from like an audience perspective. So let's say we hop back on here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like on this side over here, let's get those item frames together so we can use our imagination a little bit more. Like this. Drop in here. Put those across. Right, so if this stuff is all like one block lower. Like down to here. Like, do you really get a lot extra out of that? You're also going to then need some sort of like slabs here, like prismarine, right? Or just something that mixes well, and then you start to lose the simplicity of the arena a little bit. Like, does that really give you much more? I feel like it does actually when you're standing here, but it kind of just messes with the rest of the arena. I don't think there's too much to say about that. I think maybe I was overthinking it. It's probably fine how it is. So we'll just pop that one back. Which doesn't give me too many more thoughts for rearranging the layout as such as it appeared on where we were a moment ago on the actual server. So we shall go ahead and just... Oops, that's not right, is it? Refine all of this a little bit. And probably have a Slurpy Slurp. I think it's Slurpy Slurp time because I've got a coffee decaf right here. You know how it is. Oh, the hermits are on the sea lanterns. Oh, I forgot where to place them then, I guess. Silly me. The lower row makes it harder for others to watch, I think, says Kirsten. That's what I was going to guess, yeah. Would it work if they were laid flat on the floor like you would play a card game IRL? No, I don't think so, because, like, look at the way you stand in the world, right? Like, what way should your cards face? Because if they face towards you, then your opponents face towards them. Whereas this way, you turn to the side and they all face the same direction. So the layout here seems pretty cohesive, gonna set in stone. Let's I don't actually need to pop back on as of yet. But there was a map up the top here, right? And then there were signs that we got to remember are a part of the look. It's like you'd have a sign up here. Item frame there, one in the middle. That's actually got a dispenser below it. That's the coin toss, which is something I didn't make a note about. Something to remember. Then there's signs here to tell you what these are for. And then what this is for. Might be a good idea to... Actually, no, I think we're gonna be fine with that. Alright, and then there's the disposal pile. The discard pile, right? I feel like it was always a bit of a weird thing to turn around and place it here. I feel like the discard pile could be moved to a more obvious spot and use a colour that's kind of obvious too. So we've got a lot of space over here that's just going to empty, right? Just checking out how the blocks are laid out. And then bring them from over here. Hey, we've got a noise in the air. Let's check it out. Let's see who it is. See what's going on. It's Moosethorpe29 with the Amazon Prime subscription. Thank you, my dude. Thanks for subscribing with the Prime. Appreciate your support. And hope you're enjoying the stream. So, like, the discard pile... Oh yeah, we're gonna move that now. I reckon the discard pile should be somewhere around here. Just so it's like in your line of sight. And you're thinking about it, right? Like, because you can see it there, it's red, you know it's the discard pile. I think I'm gonna move this thing in, by the way. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering about the music today, we're listening to Malcolm Horne's new record. Frostwalker, little Christmassy record. I wrote about it on my music blog. I don't hear it in a Christmassy way. There's been a few records like that. Like there's this piano-y record by Soli about summer, but I listen to it at winter and I cannot unassociate the sound of the record and when I listen to it with winter. And I listen to this record at winter and yet it sounds so like warm and summery to me. It's always interesting how like the mellow chill vibes can sort of flip in different directions. Iripa Plays says it could be a red box for the discard. We think in the same way, my friend. We're thinking the same way. You should think more of a Greek theatre than an arena with the audience looking on from one side and from the top. I already know how the layout is in my head for the people who are going to be onlooking. And I will show you that shortly if you like. Or maybe right now. I don't know. I wasn't sure if I was ready to do that. Let's do like a rough sketch. So I think what you're going to need is some sort of... Like, Beef had water here. I feel like I might just bring that back for a little bit of fun. But you're going to have like a secondary border. And then this is actually going to be built up so that you have like pillars that probably go about as high as that. We need to think about what this will look like for the players too. And actually, I'm very pleased to report that from where I'm looking at right now, it looks like our view won't be obstructed too much. Maybe, oh man, the whole theming of this thing, like quartz is probably going to be the way to appreciate like the smooth textures we got so far. But like mud bricks, I don't know. Mud bricks would be fun to build with, and maybe we can look at this thing like we can theme it to a certain style or something. See, now I'm thinking these should have probably been quartz blocks, right? But from there, hang on, yep. I'm using a thing. I'm using a thing, peeps. Oh, now I'm down here. Yeah, look at that. So if we imagine that these are like seats, then you choose a spot in the arena to stand, to sit, and you can get a nice old view. Let's go ahead and build it up a little bit more. The music is nice, but not energetic enough for me. Though I like fast and high energy music for the most part, though I'm pretty open, says Technician. I like, you know, I like hard and fast and energetic music too, but like for me it's not that I like one type of music, it's that I try and hear what the music offers, and you can enjoy like a wider variety of things when like maybe it's not all about you and it's more about like what the artist is expressing, and through that mindset, like I've just discovered so much fascinating music that I really enjoy, this being, you know, one of them, like the sort of slow mellow stuff. It has its merits too, it has its like time and place. So let's get some slabs back for the roof. This is obviously a rather rough sketch. But the point, in fact, I can go from here. Actually, no, we don't want that. We want from there to there. Just like stack again, stack free. And when you're up here, view gets a little distorted. You know, maybe the roof doesn't need to be that big. Let's try. Just doing a bit of this. Then going back in. Now you got the full view again. So let's go from here to there. Give it another little stack. And then like here to there. Is that way too far? No, that kind of giving you an idea, isn't it? So I'm not saying it's going to be exactly like that, and that's the way the roof is going to be. I'm not even sure if a roof suits it, but as a rough idea, you can now sort of see how we could wrap this around the corner. And remember, this is all just like visualization at this point. We're visualizing the scale of the arena, let's say, more so than the actual design. I don't know what goes in that space over there, but yeah. So there's like a bit of space just on the outside of the arena for the player. They can look up, they can see into it. Then we're going to have some stuff up the top here. I feel like we should really find a nice way to fill in any spaces with like theming, stuff that really makes you feel like this is the card game arena or something. Might also have a tunnel here. So like perhaps some steps lead down to a lower spot, and there's like a little under area, a little prepare. You know, you come out, we've got the refs. So we've got to get some little ref uniforms together, right? Clumsy K, thank you so much for your Amazon Prime subscription. I'm being clumsy here myself, late on reading that one out. Thank you for your support. Appreciate you doing that. Isn't this meant to be the arena for the shop location, says Too Hard to Watch? No, we're building the arena for playing the game. Doesn't really need a roof since people come flying, says M Zebras. Well, you know, like, if people fly or not, like, roofs are a common thing on Arena. I think it's a case of if it will look good or not, you know? Like, we might make the roof more carpety, like use wool and carpet blocks and give you a sense of like a fabric roof that's held up by posts or something. I don't fully know what direction we're going to go with the theme yet, though. There's some good hot drink right here. With the roof, you won't see the fireworks, says B. Theg. That's true. If you're here, you won't see the firework go off. Good point. I don't think that's too much of a problem for, you know, the players need to see it more than the audience. There's also the possibility of having a block swapper here that tells you who goes first, or moving that to somewhere over here. Let's investigate a little redstone idea for a second. This should be a rather simple concept. So, let's say you got, I mean, green and red is like go and stop, right? Whereas what we've got is more like left and right. I guess you call heads or tails. That's how the thing works, I think. So let's say you got that there. This here. No, maybe not. Maybe it is like that. So what you want to happen is for this block to retract. There's also a question of like how complicated you want to get here, because we're going to have a facade at the front. Like that. So that thing could already be extended, but then fully retract. This could potentially get a little too messy for my liking. I think actually the way to look at it is to put that there and have this type here. No, this would be sticky also. In fact, I think all of the blocks need to be sticky. Wouldn't it be cool if there's a way just to quickly swap that into a sticky without having to do all of this? Right, now we need some redstone components. Readily available and accessible and all of that. So what I see happening is this one turns off, one of these turns on, and that one. Yeah, so it's a question of like which one. I think you want some sort of locking repeater mechanism playing out somewhere back here. Like I got a gut instinct that there's going to be a clock somewhere in this. And the only issue with this is, is the on-off actually equal? I think it is. I think that is equal parts on and equal parts off. If I'm mistaken, you'll have to tell me. Let's think about the effect that we want to have here, which is this to turn on. Transfer the signal on a delay here. But then when it turns off, that one needs to unpower second. It is a classic redstone problem, and one that I've definitely like got my head around before and solved, but like every time you start again, it's like you start again, right? Because we want a repeater somewhere just here. Liger is here gifting a sub to Not Calum and also Veriti. Thank you for gifting a couple of subs, my dude. Greatly appreciated. Thanks for all you're doing with the link tree. By the way, peeps, I think the link tree was updated again today. If you want to go on there, I put my Steam games wish list on there. I've spent like a lot of money buying games to play for stream, and then I end up like not streaming some of them and whatnot. And so I put together a wish list, and I thought like, yeah, I'll be a bit more careful with what games I choose to get and stream and stuff, because you know, spending money habits, they need to be good. If that makes any sense at all. So yeah, games on my wish list. You know, if you want to gift me one, I might end up streaming it. But basically, I decided like I should stop spending as much on games. Did that work? Oh no, I think I got it the wrong way around in my head. Dante Redeye, 10 gifted subs, coming in with some more. Thank you for your generosity, my dude. I appreciate you. Oh, let's get that sorted out. Appreciate your supporting our community. Riffraff, Elixir MV, Myths Exo, Lightly Lucid Red Skimmer, NMW Gaming, Sasina, Red Leader Joe, Anna T, Kristen 1959. Thank you so much for all tuning in. Be sure to say thanks in that chat, of course, to the one and only Dante Redeye. Gifting the subs. So I did this wrong, right? Like, it's kind of the other way around. Oh, it's such a, like, me and Redstone, it's such a classic, like, issue that I've done, like, so many times, but every time it just, like, I forget. It's so silly. This is why you need to do Redstone on a more frequent basis, peeps. You need to keep that mind sharp. If I send it back that way, it will cause a bit of a loop. Sometimes trying to make it super compact doesn't help either. So, what's the old way of doing it? Is it something like that? Yeah, that's not helpful. Right, except that doesn't get to that bit, does it? So no, it's I think it's a case of going the other way around. So the power source, actually, is this super simple? Is it like literally that? So like if the power source starts there, no, because then that one's got to come out first, is the slight problem. Getting it to work first and compacting it later does the trick for me, says Stingent. Yeah. That often is the case. So really, like, the power source should be there. Oh no, that's not good enough. Okay, yeah, we need to open up the space a little bit more. When you do something like this, you need to see, like, the order of events. So it's like power, power, unpower, unpower. So getting our signal here. ABBA circuit. Yeah, that would actually be it, wouldn't it? You know, there's another component that might be interesting to experiment with. Like power on, power off. So if we get this one here powered first, and let's say it's with yeah, just a basic like on signal somewhere. Okay, so just put that there. Almost got it. Oh no. See? Not quite. Locking repeater makes it easier to do the ABBA. Ah, okay, yeah. I'm also then going to lock that repeater potentially, so we want this one to become locked. Uh-oh. Talking about something like that. Hey, that's the one. Now, in terms of compactness, It's not bad. It's not bad. Just trying to think of ways to make it a little smarter, but given the layout here, I'm not sure there is. Anyway, then what you would have is the input from the player also needs to get locked. It'll get messy quick, this. This might also work really well with some like other piston movement and bub powering, but let's not get weighed down by that. If this was swapped around, it could be a little bit more compact, but we're not doing that. And in order for this thing to be tiled, I think it needs to be like so, because we're going to have the same thing on the opposite side. Mirrored over here. So we got that, then we got this, we got that. A couple of pieces of redstone. Right, so the thing is, we only want one of these to activate at a time, which is why we're going to have a clock. And the results of that clock need to point into this repeater. And based on the current layout, that actually isn't going to be too difficult. So we lock the input, and then we just need like a left-right thing going on here. Like it's one side or the other. So that'll be achievable with our redstone torch. If it were here, for example. No, that's the wrong thing. And then a repeater there, repeater here. Now you can see that's not actually equal, is it? How do we get that right? Because there's like I think there's a delay caused by the torch. Push a redstone block left or right, says alternative tuning. I kind of don't want a clock that's noisy just happening somewhere in the arena, like so you hear piston blocks all the time. Delays on the repeater, someone says. Let's mess around with that. Is it now? No, it's not. It's weird what happens when you mess around with the delays. Also, it might need to be, based on the input, it might need to be... Oh man, yeah, like, if it unlocks and locks again while the input is powered on either side, doesn't make any sense. Is this a coin flip mechanism? It is. So what I'm getting at is that the input of the signal has to be not only shorter than this, it has to arrive at a precise time, because if it arrives halfway through this thing being locked and not, like, it could technically set off both sides at once. So what's another way? Oh, I know exactly what to do now. Okay. Brain finally caught up with itself and gave me an idea. You gotta, you know, think of various ways of doing things in this game. Let's go grab a dropper and a hopper. This could be... Oh, again, though. Maybe not. Maybe not. Well... Actually, okay, I was going to do one thing and then I kind of realized, oh no, maybe that's not it. So, like, let's say we got that and that. Change it up on this side. Have an item going back and forth between the two, right? That looks far more equal, doesn't it? The only issue is that duration thing again. Alright, so then seem to have lost my concrete block. Now we can manipulate it like this. So a slow clock can give us exactly what we want. The only issue is, again, that it doesn't prevent the player if the input comes in at the wrong time. So like, let's say this is the input. Can we like lock that? And then that locks that too. I really don't know if I'm going to get this right at this point. But basically, you only ever want... Oh, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Like, maybe our input doesn't go here, right? It doesn't feed in to activate it. Maybe the input helps choose which side it's going to be. So if we use this as like the left or the right is where it's going to be, we just let this thing activate. Aha. Right, so our input will be an AND gate with this, I think is the way to go about it. Why not drop a hopper and comparator and one stackable and one not? Because that's a input function, right? And it's also random as opposed to... Oh, I see what you're saying. You could literally bypass the idea of having a clock and just hitting the clock at the right time. Right. Yes, okay. I got ya. Well, yeah, pretty good then. So if we weren't to do what we're doing right now, I think what we would be doing is essentially, just like I said, creating some sort of AND gate where it would activate based on what side is active. But since we're not doing that, now we'll step it back. So what we're talking about is, let's see, let's put a dropper here, hopper there. Going to have two items on the inside. One's an axe, one's this thing. One creates a stronger signal than the other. Then you're going to need like a signal deduction of some sort. So what item went in? The weak one. Might need a bit of that going on. Yeah. Okay. So one of these. This is not quite as simple as I want it to be, is it? X, pay attention to chat. Just use a drop with the red and green shulker and a piston to break it. That is a pretty good idea, actually. I really like the idea of solving this problem and doing it with pistons, though. Because you're not just like solving for this. You're learning redstone at the same time. And I'm relearning some ideas here. Again, just things I've done in the past and I completely forget how they work. But not only do you have to like subtract the signal strength to turn one off, right? Like if I turn this one off, this one will always turn on if it's a stronger or weaker one. So there was multiple levels of signal manipulation. And I just can't remember how it's done. So what are we saying then? We're going to use 2 shulker boxes. Like a red and a lime, I guess. That would have to be a dispenser, wouldn't it? Let's give that a try. But then the direction of the dispenser is kind of important because you want to have the hopper. Or maybe having it face upwards isn't so bad. Like if you have your piston push it forward, then you don't need extra redstone to get it back in. There was a contraption I was thinking about for my base the other day that's very similar to this. The idea you could walk up, press a button, and to access your inventory stuff, whatever it is, you know, like your valuables are hidden. You gotta press a button. I just thought it might be more interesting if, you know, rather than just opening a chest, you pressed a button and your little secure shulker box popped up. That'd be kind of cool. Like, where do you want the button to be is another question. Let's keep exploring this. So if you had the dispenser like here, and the hopper there, you'd obviously need a little dropper, which really isn't too much of a pain. But then your piston would be about here. And then I don't think it would look as flush. Like there's... then again, the hopper brings it out by one, doesn't it? You could also maybe have the dispenser at, like, floor level. It's like, imagine the floor is here. So it pops up. But then you want it to go straight into the hopper, let's say. What if a piston, like, pushed up and pushed out and pushed it back in? That would be pretty cool. Pretty cool little animation. But probably a huge pain in the bum. And you still see that one there. Not the worst thing ever, but it's still there. So you press a button up the top. By the way, we've got a couple of gifted subs coming in again. Becca, thank you for gifting a sub to Beloa Rosa. I am probably absolutely butchering that name, but thank you for tuning in. Be sure to say thanks in the chat. Liger, thank you for gifting a sub to Vortex Warp. And Curls, thank you for gifting a sub to Lucaro for 49 months. Thank you for all you do, peeps, supporting the community here. It's greatly appreciated, and hope you're entertained. Hope you're enjoying it. If I press a button up the top, right, it'll bub power that piston when extended. So, like, if I do that, and then that's... Oh, no, it doesn't bub power it. Ah, well, crumbs to that idea, maybe, then. I thought that was pretty slick. This one's probably your best bet, then, really. Although... isn't there like the odd chance that it can like fly out the front? So maybe this is just the way, like, okay, there's that there, but don't worry about it. So if you press this button and this thing gets updated, which is going to be a bit tricky, but let's try it. Like, aha, it extended at the front. So got to be tricky with that. What's a good way to get around that? Maybe just have it one higher. I always love stuff to be like super compact and clean, and there's just always problems with that, right? So you want to get your signal down to the dispenser level. Maybe just that is much simpler, right? Get some redstone. Ah, now it goes through the piston. I forgot about that. Right, and then the length of the signal could be something to work with. But where here do we create like the thing that activates that? Dang it, it's so close to this. I think I just need an observer. Oh, yeah, okay. So when that goes, like, this way, it might get it first time, it might get it second. Oh, and then it does that, which is just not what we want. Definitely not what we want. Dante Redeye, another gifted sub to Tim Tool Guy for 29 months. Thank you again for the tremendous support, peeps. Can't thank you enough, can I? Appreciate all those gifted subs. If you are ever gifted a sub, be sure to say thanks in the chat. So, like, with a block here, now all we need is for this thing to get powered. Which it can do, basically, from either side, right? Ah. Well, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because it's still powering. Target block? Dang, I love this block. Love that block, right? So good. Yeah, there's only one in there. Not bad. Can't spam it either. If you keep spamming it, it just stays there for a little bit longer. Uh-huh. There you go. We built that. Look, we built a little who's first machine, right? The only issue is, as a replacement for the fireworks mechanism, I'm not sure where it would belong here. Yeah, maybe over on this side somewhere. Maybe that means there's two entrances, like one behind each of the hermits, and then a little coin tosser over here. Right, let's refer back to what needs to be done. A rulebook lectern. Okay, so a reference of the rules in a lectern. This feels like a nice spot for it to be. If I were to refer to my image, there's you place something down the bottom here, which is unfortunate, and then the sides are reserved for honey blocks and slime blocks. They need to be placed to remind us that that's a thing. I'll mention it to Beef, like status effects. It's like, where do you want the rulebook? I mean, again, in the way of the entrance. Maybe you got two copies of it, right? Like, we used to have the discard thing over here. Maybe we put it there. It looks kind of odd. Not so sure, you know. Fireworks are so simple, though, says Bearded Axe. They are, yeah, they are. We've just created a little fun alternative is all, right? Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the Redstone challenge. Like, I want to get back into Redstone. I say it so often, and you have to do the Redstone, you know. You have to get your head back into that and figure it all out. So yeah, the rulebook lectern could just be a reference thing over here. Maybe there's two of them, I don't know. Like that want for symmetry is always a thing. Or, I mean, that doesn't really take away much from anything. Looks slightly odd, but like not the worst thing ever. The lectern could go in the ground behind or next to your draw pile. That's not a bad suggestion. So this is where you put your deck. This is where your draw hand will pop up. And so maybe we just have like the lectern directly next to it. That could totally be it. We also need like an end turn button. Like it was like here, but I want to move it away from that. So maybe just over on this side there's like something in line with this with a button on. I'm not sure. Also, I was thinking of putting water around the edges. I guess I could. They just need to be like waterlogged or something. Potentially that, right? That feels kind of cozy, I think. It's a tiny bit bigger. There's just a little more space for you to move around. But you can get a good shot of everything. Your discard box is obvious. Then you got your hand here. You got a rule book directly next to refer to. Let's go back to the board. So, reference chests. Okay. So not only do we want like the rule book, we want a reference chest of every single card in the game. Considering there's 27 hermits, I think it would be a double chest. So like, oh, is it me or is there something off here? No, it's me. I don't know, something like that on the side? Maybe this idea of having the moat isn't so great. This would probably look better if it were like back by a block. It's just my gut feeling. Probably won't have those. And again, maybe push it over a little bit. Maybe have it like here. So again, like most of what you access and interact with is kind of in front of you as you stand behind your hand, then you turn and look to the side. You want a reference sign, it's all there. I think that makes a lot of sense. There's also rare cards for each hermit. So yeah. Well, just given on where I put it, if it ends up not being a thing, then okay. I mean, you're gonna go in here, look at the card, pick it out, read it, put it back. You could also go over and punch off ones that are already in play and put them back. But that's not as clean for anyone watching. But also, sometimes you want to know about cards like, oh, what's that other card I've got in my deck do again? That's probably a very me problem. Space out arena elements, weakness board in the sky. Okay, so another image that I have over here is of the weakness board. Let's go ahead and grab some white glass, because what we're going to do on the opposite side from our little stand, and again, maybe a reason to get rid of the roof is just that they won't be able to see this. So somewhere around here, we need, this is going to be hell to set up. We've put together a crazy weakness board with like loads of items on it and stuff. Using, oh, do you know what? I've just realised they're invisible item frames. I thought that this was like armor stands that have been propped up into the place. But they're not. They're actually just invisible item frames. It's just gonna occur to me because I thought, why didn't I put item frames here? And then I was like, oh wait, that is what we're looking at. Is it 1, 2, 3? Yep. Yeah, so you got that as well. And then I'm thinking it might be cool to like build some stuff either side, just so that space isn't completely lonely. I think we'll ditch the stadium roof. What do you think, peeps? Let's go set that to 0. Uh-huh. Because you want to be able to see that. The top level of seating could be moved back a little like stadium seats. This is just a rough guideline for now. Oh, noise in the ear. Evil X here. It's G-Stav, 83 months. Thank you for your continued support, my dude. Incredible stuff. Incredible, incredible. Appreciate ya. All these years, hey? All these years. Hey, X, have you thought about a lamp or a signal for whose turn it is? Yes, those lamps are here. At the bottom. Right, so with all of our arena layout considerations done, we have redstone bits. Other ideas, we put one in. Turn counter. The turn counter. This would be something that both players would need to see. Like maybe it's like a double chest of items. Actually, no. It can be, yes. Okay, right. So we'll also have, it's a little bit discreet compared to other things. Its position might also change too. But for each turn, we have to dispense an item in, but to reset it automatically, it can be done. It can be done. It's just potentially a bit of a pain. So if we imagine there's a hopper that's locked below it, then a dropper pointing in from the sides would be good. But kind of ugly on the look of the arena and stuff, right? Like, what if this is one block further over? Does that help its cause? Or what if it's hidden? There's a cool place to hide it just over here, which will provide us with a redstone challenge, no doubt. So potentially a turn counter right there. And if you open it up, it pops off that. Not good. Carpet over dropper. Oh yeah. Yeah, some solutions are simple. Peeps. I mean, I'm telling you, but y'all telling me that. Like, who am I talking to here? X. Some solutions are simple. That's much better. We need a dropper. A little bit of carpet too. So with each turn, yeah. I don't know, it still bugs me. Like, it's the only one little bit of carpet like that, and there's like no other spot to really put this that makes sense. Will the HP of the player be 3 lamps or 1 lamp that gets dimmer by a weaker signal, says Skyfighter. Now, the HP is all done by the maps that are in these boxes. That's how it's done. Cover the resting carpet too. But then you have to leave a bit for the button, right? And then it'll... I don't know. I think that's okay. It's a shame it wouldn't just go over here. I mean, in theory, maybe you could raise that all up by 1. It's just for whoever's reffing, I mean, it's not a big deal to click too much further. Let's hop back onto Hermitcraft for a second. What about a snow layer instead of car? It'll still just be something that obviously isn't concrete and will pop out. I saw some creepers over there. Like, what's annoying is just that it's not continuously flashed, that's it. So, health card, indicator card supply. Technically, you don't really need that there. You might not also need the map just up there. Should probably put these back, right? There it is, there it is. Oh yeah, by the way, the redstone for this, so like when you put in your deck, I don't think it really does shuffle that much. Like, you can see what Beef's thinking here, but basically the first 9 and then some will go into that dropper, and then a couple more might flow into this one. Actually, it's a good point. How many cards are there in a deck? And do they actually all fit in here? They don't, you see. Interesting. So that's 27, 30, 42 cards in a deck. So we go back down below again and think about each one is 9, right? Plus 5. So it's like 14. So the first 14 will go into here, then 28, and then 38, 42. Oh, it actually divides it up equal, but here's what I did. Like, I deliberately tried to, like, shuffle my cards in a bit. So if you put those in first, all at once, you would essentially create a 1 in 3 chance of getting that card. And I'm not sure how fair that is or not fair, but due to the way that the items flow out of here, that's the way they'll end up in these hoppers. There could be a way around that, which is to make the hopper chain at the top circular and then have, like, these unlock 1 by 1. That's something we can investigate, actually. I don't think there's a great way to do this, but it's something we can have a look at. I really need to get some items, oh, wrong server, from here onto my redstone server so that we can mess around with it properly. Tango made a solid shuffler for decked out 1, says Syntax. Please explain how that works, because it's an idea that I go to a lot with redstone. Is like, how do you truly randomize a large amount of stuff? Maybe true randomization is really difficult and impossible, but there's probably smart ways to partially do it, right? Let's hop over here somewhere. So we got 1, 2, 3 plus this. So that splits your deck into 3 different parts. The 9 items, oh, that's another thing, right? Like, some items stack as well. 14, 28, 42. Yeah, no, it's 42. Remember the stat poker game? You could randomize it like that, says Skyfighter. I remember that game, but I didn't know how the redstone work. He had 12 or so droppers that all circled around. Tango's thing was huge. Well, you could, in theory, put 1 item in every single dropper, right? But then how would you randomize which droppers get powered at what time? Rename it so it won't stack, says AOC. Then I've talked to Beef about that. We're not going to do that because that's a lot of items to rename. And then it means that your what was I going to say? Yeah, they won't fit inside of a shulker box, right? All stacked items will be useful in the same slot. I don't know about that. I don't know. A long ring of dispensers and a lock hopper under them that unlocks after a few seconds. I'm not sure what you're getting at there. So, let's say we get one item into every single dropper, right? Like, we have a mechanism for distributing one into each, which I think is possible. So then the question is, right? Like, at the point in which you've got the items into the droppers, it's not random. They have flown in from the deck based on how you've laid out like a string of hoppers to get one item to each dropper. So let's imagine it's not random. Let's imagine it's like, oh, that group of 13 cards, they're the first 13. That's an important point. Because then, how do we get each of these to activate one by one, right? But at random. I can almost envision something where maybe there's like a bunch of redstone underneath, where for some reason or another, it'll push up a redstone block and power it, but it will never do that same one again. So the second time you activate, it's this one over here. Then it's that one, then it's this one, and then eventually all of them are done. But that sounds like a lot of complicated redstone. The stat poker is just a circle of droppers pointing into each other in a loop, and let them all trigger for a few seconds. Then pull the cards out by unlocking a hopper for long enough to pull 7 starter cards. Then you trigger the shuffler once every turn to pull out a new card. Now that scares me a little because we have stackable items in the system, which means a lot of them could get stuck in a single dropper and all come out together, right? You could put each card in its own shulker box before splitting the cards up. Since shulkers don't stack, then you can remove the card selected after it's delivered to the player. Yeah, that sounds like we're getting incredibly complicated. There's got to be something simple. You need a loop of droppers that get pulsed over and over to just shuffle and input it into one dropper. Yeah, that works. I think that works, but not if you've got, just imagine, I'm not going mad here, like, if you have a stack of these, right, and, like, other random items moving around, like, these items are going to stay here. That's like a sizable portion of your deck that just stays in one spot. So that doesn't sound random to me. Is there no way to do a minecart ring that drops one card in each spot at random and then loop again? A minecart might be a brilliant way to distribute it, because then you don't need a bunch of extra redstone. If a minecart goes over every one of these hoppers, then yeah, that's potentially a great way to do it. Talbar says no, question mark. Can you explain why? I'm assuming we're talking about this. Like, the odds of any card in a stack has increasingly less chance of being moved, right? Because it's not treated like an individual item. So, like, let's say we've got a stack that size. They will stack up inside of the dropper, and therefore they will be treated as 1 in 4 when actually they're 6. If you could space them out like that, then they would all be 1 in 9, right? So you create sort of biases for cards that are stacked, which there will be clumps of, like you saw in that deck, because of the nature of the game. Command blocks to summon random TCG card. Honestly, like, that might be a great way to do it. The input needs to be another dropper, and the output, then it's not a problem if you shuffle constantly, says Trollfrost. Am I not getting my point across? Or am I missing something? Because, again, like, if you have, like, picture these droppers sort of circulating, right? Like, you know, okay, it's going to dispense one random item and another one's going to come in. That one's going to go out. Then one comes back in. This is, you know, the likelihood of all of these cards here moving is, like, low, right? Master CWG, thank you for the raid. Welcome all the raiders. We are doing some brainstorming on redstone stuff at the moment. Skyfighter says, as long as the minecart is at full speed, I think it might work. You need 42 droppers for each player, and then you can make a random mechanism to do the trigger for the droppers at random. Check if a card got out or repeat. Because some droppers will be empty after the card gets out. Okay. Yeah, so the mine... Okay, let's establish this. The minecart probably will work to distribute one item to each and every dropper. That's brilliant. That's a great solution right there. We should put this in the world to remind us that that will most likely work. Oh, wait a minute. You'd have to use a chest with a minecart, and it would have to have all 42 items in. Now, it would be the same as a shulker, so it too will have stacked items in. But again, remember, biases. If we have a stack of items in at the first slot, where are they going to go? They're going to go to all of the first ones, right? So then the idea is, okay, in what order do they come out? Because if we're randomly shuffling these cards by pairing them at random until all the cards are out or something like that, if a bunch of cards have gone in together, imagine they're all next to each other, how do these droppers arrive back into a container? Because if I do this, then we're basically just going to put all of those cards in first, okay? So imagine that the first cards in here is a stack of items. They get one by one distributed, so all the first ones are the same type. Then the randomization happens, okay? And then the items have to travel to a container. So this group, if they're all at the front, right, maybe only 3 or 4 of them activate, but then the first things to come through might be 3 or 4 of the same type of card again. So how do we, like, not only randomize these droppers, but it needs to shuffle. So once these go into a water stream or some way of moving items, the fact that, like, there's probably going to be a directionality to that means that these items that first got distributed will be lumped together. And even not if they're first, if they're the last ones to get distributed, again, because they stack up, it's a problem. When we, like, imagine that the last 10 items are all the same because they got stacked at the end of the container, right? Then depending on what way the items get picked up, like, you might have a lot of one item at the end of your deck. Like, basically, we could do this probably if all the items were non-stackable, but some of them are stackable. Okay, I'm gonna read some more chat here. You should not recombine them. Once they are already separated into individual droppers, consider them as being shuffled. You just need to fire the droppers randomly now and fire them towards the player. Okay, Zistra, you've, like, said everything but not the problem that I'm addressing about doing that. Dumb idea, have all the cards drop onto the floor and have one allay per type. I do not want to get allays involved in this. No, no, no. Would it happen that if you break a minecart chest with a lava cauldron drip, it would drop all its contents all at once, and how a hopper could pick them up again randomly, says Jomas. Okay, so I think we can simulate that by creating a container. Hang on, what are we doing here? That didn't work. Okay, so that's effectively full. Okay, now we need a chest. Right, Lossie, you're putting in messages in, and I will get back to that. Just as for the thing over here again, right? Like, if we say we consider them shuffled once they're in droppers, I'm going to argue that they won't be shuffled because by having a stack of items in a minecart chest when it moves along, it will mean that you have the same card over and over again next to each other, right? So the point is, when you randomly activate the dropper, I mean, unless you wait for the item to come all the way out before the next one is shuffled, that is a way to do it. That adds a lot of time, but that's a solution. Ah, got it. So, when you randomly activate this dropper, the item has to get all the way to the exit before the next item comes out, and you'd only be able to activate one dropper at a time, which adds in an extra... maybe not. Maybe not. Let's go back to this experiment. So, we're on about pickup order, I think. So we got comparator, slime ball, hopper, slab, lectern. I need Yol to remember that, okay? Right? In fact, we don't need to remember it because it's in that chest still, so never mind. If I come here and break this thing, okay, the items are... Did I pick it up by accident? Doesn't matter. So remember, comparator should be first. then the slime ball, then the hopper. See, I'm a magician. And then the slab. So, and the lectern was the one that I picked up, I think. So, like, when you break the contents of a container, it remembers what order it's in when it's on the ground. So you can't use the breaking of something to randomize the way in which the items come out, unfortunately. So that's not an option. Yeah. Trollfoss says, I get the point, but I think it's not that big of a problem. Overall, it worked quite well for Tango, and he also had stacking items. Okay, yeah. I think currently I can't see a way where I'd be happy to implement it. Like, I just see too much biases coming out, and the way that Beef built it as well, like, this system like this, right? I guess what it does is it splits things up into thirds. I think if you were to do some proper number crunching on this, you'd find some flaws. So I think the idea is that they all pointed into that one, and then this one was here, right? So when you power that, like, only one pushes the item through. Well, no, maybe not. So on the first use, they probably all push in an item, right? So you got 3 items. But then when it's full, actually that's a point. If it's full, and you got something in here. Oh, okay. I thought it might dispense it inside of the block. Oh, dispensers do that, don't they? Droppers don't. Right, okay. Okay, yeah. Understand. So yeah, like, you get a bunch of items come into each of these. And then the first time you activate it, 3 of them go into here. Let's say it activates twice so that then one can go to the player. Let's say this is the player. Now, again, the whole thing I keep talking about with the stack is that if you've got like this here, this item's going to get fed into that a lot. And the fact that it can stack means, let's say you have a bunch of non-stackable items, okay, and other items are trying to get in, this one can always push that item into there. And therefore, there's always a chance of getting that item into here, right? This, I think, creates a bias for the non-stackable... Sorry, for the stackable items to appear in your hand more frequently. Like, there's a permanent chance of, like, 1 in 9 of it appearing. So, I really do think it's a big problem. And maybe it's okay because it happens to apply to those energy cards, which you kind of want more frequently anyway. What if the entire deck is looping constantly on a dispenser loop on a slow clock, and you can only pull out a card by unlocking a hopper below? That sounds like a great idea. Yeah, I think you're onto something there again, Skyfighter. So if you distributed the items into the hoppers so that there was only one, and all of those hoppers were locked. Okay, let's imagine them in a circle. All of the hoppers are locked. I mean, that's a terrible circle because they're all pointing down. So, like, all of the hoppers are locked. You know, like, here's these locked items, right? We use the minecart hopper to get all of these things with one item in each. And then you just let them circulate. And then you have a hopper underneath that occasionally pulls one out, right? Like it's down here. The only issue might be, well, you can probably solve it with redstone, that when you unlock this hopper, it has to get an item before it locks again. And that, I can't help but feel the time that will span over the course of a game means, yes, there will be chunks of the same item moving around together, but your chances should be relatively... Oh, you're saying not hoppers but droppers. Okay. Well, the reason I would have thought hoppers is because that's what you need to get the items in to begin with, right? But otherwise we're saying that our hoppers will point into a group of droppers that are rotating themselves? And then that's I think using hoppers makes more sense because they'll naturally move around without you having to power them. I think this way around it's a little bit more complicated. So if you can distribute your deck into 42 rotating hoppers and have them perfectly distributed, then you can let them just spin around in a circle. This doesn't solve the stacked item problem, says Talbot. I think it does, because remember, one item is going to be in each and every hopper because of the minecart chest going over. So yes, you will end up with like a bunch of stackable items next to each other in the chain. But at the time at which you extract an item to go into the deck can be randomized. Like, it'll be randomized by the flow of the game. Maybe the first 7 cards that get drawn out will have to have a bit of a delay. But the fact that they're all just going around in a circle and you're pulling one out at random every now and then would probably solve that problem, I think. Can you use a chess boat to get the cards to them? You could, but it'd probably be better just to use a regular minecart chest so it does one at a time. But there would be empty slots, says Mana Zero. So yeah, when you tell this hopper to unlock, it only locks again when it gets an item. So if you take out the item when an item is passing over, you know. The other way you could look at it is that potentially you could automate. No, you can't, because if you automate taking them out and putting them in an order, the items will stack up again. Anyway, I think we've dwelled on that for a long time. Look, if any of y'all... I saw Lucaro log on, and then leave. If any of y'all have got ideas and solutions and stuff, like, send them to me. But based on what people are saying in chat, I think y'all are having more leeway towards stackable items than I have. Like, I got quite a strong resistance to this. I really do see it as being an issue. Like, they create a bias, a noticeable bias. And some of you are saying that Tango's Artifact Shuffler is covered in Season 746, last third of the video. I'll check that out. But just because someone else did it doesn't mean it fully addressed this issue. I'm very curious to see what Tango did, though. I will go have a look. Tango's a smart redstoner. You know, maybe he did suss it all out, right? How should we send them to you again, says Terra Wolfie. Always like Twitter is usually the best, right? You know, make a video of it, explain it, give me a tweet, I'll check it out. Tamua Dar, thank you ever so much for the Prime, 6 months of support. Thanks for all the redstone tinkering. It is really helpful when I make contraptions myself. Oh, that's so good to hear. I love that. Awesome. Glad you're learning from these streams. Don't use hoppers, they will push the first slot. A dispenser will use a random slot. Oh, right. So over here I've got to use dispensers. Oh, that's interesting, because do you remember that experiment that I did? And then I mentioned that dispensers would be a different slot. Are we sure it's always the first slot out of a dropper? Like, when did that become a thing? Sure. Surely not. Right, let's take out... Look at this smelly inventory of mine. Needs a bit of a reset, doesn't it? Right, now it's even smellier again. Right. Oh, mouth burps. Right. No, it's not. It's a random slot. I did think that was a bit wild. Yeah, it's a random one. Okay. Glad I did the test. Thanks for wasting my time. Wait, hopper, not dropper. I read dispenser and dropper in the same message. I know that hopper always does the first slot. That's why there's no issue with this system, because there's only ever one item in, so it will just flow into the next one over and over again. I mean, maybe the concern with that circular system is that perhaps, like, they don't just smoothly go one into the next and somehow they get clunked up because they're all pointing into each other. I don't know. Anyway, let's go back to the redstone board over here. So we need to automate the start and the end of the game, plus a reset feature. We need 3 prize cards to get moved to the other side. Got a dispenser hand of 7 cards. That really comes back down to all of that stuff we were looking there. That bit. A turn button. On turn changes lamps for whose turn it is. On turn, give player who ended a turn a card. Too much of this is a little dependent on having the game, the deck randomizer part of the game sort of sorted out, right? Like once that's done. Oh, by the way, there should be a button around here to activate that, right? Does the button share space? It does. No, it went inside. Yeah, it can also share a space with the item frame, so you could have it all in one spot. Is the server you're on public or Patreon, says Arepa Plays? It is just a private little server. I have ummed and ahed about having a public plot world like Redstone server again, but I don't know. It's like another thing you got to maintain and be on top of. It would be fun to drop everything into a stream of water and pick the item you need by unlocking a single hopper. Ah, Dev, again, it's this thing. It's this thing. Where was the experiment? I destroyed it. If you destroy a container, they retain their item order. So if you shuffle a bunch of items in a whirlpool of water, you know, and you move them all over again and again, they went into someone into that corner, someone into this corner, then they all came back to the middle, they'll have the same pickup order in which they were dispensed. So it's not a method for randomizing how they get picked up. I feel this has probably already been said, but I feel like the health card boxes should be color-coded. Maybe. I think it's a bit more visual noise, like just a bit more going on that's maybe not necessary. The refs that do the health stuff will get used to that. No problems. Something that we need down here underneath. Don't need these blocks, do we? Yeah, they're not necessary. There's quite a few of them. What do we do over here? We ended up with that. Oh yeah, another putting that extra space over here. Tim Tool Guy. If they're going around in hoppers, the randomization is the pushing of the button by the player. Yes. That is what I've been trying to articulate, and you have understood me. I feel like a lot of the time when I read my chat, it's just what I'm saying isn't making sense. What did Tango do with tree growth? Wasn't that a random thing? I don't see how random timing helps us with the issue of randomizing stacked items among non-stackable items. Using a hopper later in the game, there will be some empty hoppers. When you pick a card, there's a chance you won't take any. As I said, you would make your contraption wait so that when it's unlocked, it locks when it receives a card. So we can solve for that problem. Okay, the reason I started doing some block breaking around here, there's going to be a lot of redstone going on. I think what you want is for these two here to be powered. Actually, no, they would be direct. Let's put it down here. It's not really any marvel of redstone to look at. But to power all of the lamps, you just need something like that back here. And then based on whose turn it is, that would swap over from side to side. We got some of our pro redstoners logging in now. Let's see if they're up for a challenge. They've got any ideas? I'm super curious to see how they do it. Yeah. So that's how we'll light up, you know, whose turn it is. And I guess what you want is a flip-flop that's activated by a single input. Now, the best way to do this is probably with a block of redstone. And I've picked out the wrong type of sticky piston. And we can't have it facing upwards. It's got to be facing across. If it were facing upwards, it would be bub powered and stuff. So we have this thing here. Okay, one line of redstone will be off. I always want to make it symmetrical. It's such a silly little thing. Okay, and then all that needs to happen is a signal needs to arrive here that sends a pulse to this thing. Now, I don't know what type of thing... Have we got like a reset? Actually, no, maybe they're doing stuff with armor, right? sometimes in Minecraft world stuff gets reset, doesn't it? So like, if you have a signal that conforms to that, terrific. But if it doesn't, then I'm not sure. Because it might be like a signal that turns on and off, or it might come in as a pulse. It might be a pulse that's too long. So I think what you probably want is for something like this. Maybe we can actually put that closer. Yeah. Let's just see how this behaves. So like, let's say it's done by a button press for now. Oh, it does it twice. Okay. That should do it. Oh. Wait, what happened there? Oh, I think it sort of bug powers itself or something. Anyway, it's not really important right now how that input works, but it's just a demonstration that we can show what side the player is on. Okay, Cybot knows their stuff. So I'll be very fascinated to see. 42 Hopper Minecart. That's a very curious idea. That's a very curious idea. I am fascinated to see where this goes. 42. How does the game decide? Like, oh, I'm so curious now. Like, how does the game determine which of those 42 pull? Like, let's say the minecart hopper you first put in the world gets priority. Like, could this just be a way in which, like, it still just transfers in the same order? I don't know. Like, the idea of that having some randomization element to me is a little bit curious. It is random. Okay. I'll take your word for it, but like how does the game, how does that work? Oh, I am super curious. So what we'll do, okay, what's this bit here for? Because I think it creates a short pulse. Okay, I'm gonna start goofing around with this. Just for a second. Let's see what happens. Okay, so when I do that, they all went. Okay. Oh, they're feeding out of their one. This is fascinating. They are feeding out. So look at the hoppers. They haven't backed up into the hoppers. They're taking them out of here. What type of rail is that? Activator. I am so delightfully curious as to what on earth is happening right now. I mean, that is an incredibly small contraption. Is this the one that Tango built? Right, I want to see this in action. So, we've got like a stack of 8 of those cards, right? There is still a little bit of a problem with this, but there's something that's got to change about this thing here because they get stacked up again, which is a bit of an issue. So, like, here's our deck. Let's go like 1, 2, 3 or something. I don't know. Just sort of trying to demonstrate the point that we might have multiples of different items. I'm also going to screenshot that and put it on my other screen for a second. So the experiment will go on. Right, empty chest down here. Press that. Right, redstone, sticky piston. Oh, that does feel quite random, doesn't it? Oh my god, that appears to be random. I really want to know what mechanics are behind that. Like, why? How is it that all the items can go into the hopper mine? Wait a minute. Okay, test. Right, clear my inventory. Test number 2. I want to... Dang it, I messed up the test, by the way. Sort of. Look at this order down here. I'm going to take another screenshot because it will be the opposite of that order. What if I put them in the exact same place again? Will they come out in the same spots? So like, this is how we arranged it just a second ago. Yep, got it. No, I haven't, because it's all off by 1. There could also be like a seed to the random effect. So like if I did this, let's say the seed was like, I don't know, 1 in 3, right? And you do this test over and over again and it randomizes it in 1 or 3 ways. That could potentially be a thing, but I'm going to guess probably not at this point. So that is the way that we arranged it. And the way in which it came back out was redstone block, sticky piston, activator rail. It's different this time straight away. Fascinating. Fascinating. I want to know what the game is doing to make that random. That's so interesting. I would have just thought there was some sort of bias that would mean, similar to how you break a chest, and like, if I break this double chest, this is the order they'll appear in my inventory, right? Oh, if I actually pick them all up from the same location. No, I didn't manage to do that, but anyway, I demonstrated that to you earlier, so you know what I'm talking about. I just did the test wrong. Okay, so now the player, I mean, a shulker box. Like, if you think about where the player puts their deck, like, you could have the shulker box directly here, but then the player needs to pick it back up after. Actually, no, they don't. What am I on about? You put your items into the shulker box to be shuffled. So that, I believe, is sort of flush-ish. Might have to wiggle that around. I feel like before I start messing with this too much, maybe we'll make a copy of it. By the way, Cybot, if you've got any things to tell me about this, feel free to in the chat. Let's go stack 1. I think you already did, actually. It's random. That is all I've been told. It is random. Okay. Right, so it didn't copy the entities. That's... Oh, actually, it might have, and they might be invisible. If multiple hopper minecarts are above a hopper, it chooses a random one. Notice how the output is slow because it tries to pull items from empty hopper minecart. Ah. So the extraction rate was slowing down. I didn't actually pick up on that in my excitement. Okay. So like if we just do, let's say 8 items. It is, yeah, and then it gets a little bit fast. Yeah, there's a rhythm. There's not a rhythm. Sorry, there's a lack of a rhythm. Like, there's 8, right? And eventually it gets there. Fascinating. So I'm guessing as soon as you use less than 42, this gets faster, but then technically you're probably introducing some not-so-randomness. Well, that's terrific. Okay. And I think there's ghost entities there, I've got a feeling, because that's... Unless it just needs a block update. Or is it because it's powered? Because it's the activator rail. What am I talking about? I was thinking it was the other one. Rightio then. So in order for this to be flush, in the arena, I imagine it will be rotated to the side a little bit. We kind of need this thing to be slightly lower. I mean, I guess that what you just do is you just move it further away. And then the whole thing can be underneath the arena. So like that's now here. And then your button, wherever it went. Your button's there and it just works the same way. Or not. Oh no, it did blink. So that would make it work. Then the next thing is, how do you queue them up so they don't stack, right? So we've shuffled the cards, now we need to keep them in order without them stacking. Remember how this stuff works, like items can build up inside the hopper in stacks next to non-stackables. I think Cybot's probably going to have another solution for us here. Oh my god, it's so simple! It's utterly simple. So this thing becomes like the deck holder, right? Okay, let's test this thing out and see it in action. This is awesome. This is awesome. So from there, we just send the items off. Oh my god. I'm going to put some more items up there. I might be breaking things technically a little here. Right, all of those items are in there, as well as these other ones. Yeah, you can see my one came through there. Right, so if I take that out, we get one more, but none there. This is a Cybot. How do you know this stuff, my dude? How do you know? Like, that is so perfect and so compact. I would never figure this stuff out. I would never figure this stuff out. That's so good. Oh, I'm totally stoked. Oh, that being said, we haven't got any granite out yet, but maybe something got reset. Like, it has been the same item over and over again. Like, where's the randomization? Oh, there it is. Okay, we got one. Maybe there was a stack of that and like 8 or whatever the other. Okay, oh, I am just so impressed. That's perfect. So, the only thing is it's a hopper at the moment. I did see you place down a dropper and put a button next to it. Does that work? That appears to work the same way. God, that is so utterly simple. Bud power. Yeah, bud power. Could that hopper... What's that gonna do? I was just thinking, could there just be one hopper facing forward and having the dropper here? And then you'd have to get, like, it'd be a bit more awkward with the redstone and stuff. I'm really curious as to how... Oh, is it a case of provide an update? Like you power it, but then you put... Yeah, you put something next to it. Oh, wow, that's what he's doing. I get it. So, the redstone will also provide an update through this block. Are we out? We're out. Okay, so, like, let's put in 10. Let's put in 10 and 10. We're going to be able to, like, do this, I think. Oh, it's working like a clock now? That's interesting. Okay, let's remove that for a second, because it's now a clock. Let's think about how this would be powered. It would be powered by, like, a redstone signal coming in. Maybe not just someone pressing a button, right? So at what point does it, like, if it's bud powered by that, it's already powered. That gives it an update though, but it doesn't... What am I missing here? I think Cybot's got something else. Got something else uplined. Yeah, so that's what I thought of a moment ago, and then I tell you what, let's build it over here as well, because this is the one. Okay, it's getting. Don't worry. I'll modify this on this side. I wanted to preserve the original, but like I'll make the modification that I need for it to fit into the area. Yeah, pretty straightforward, just like that. Okay. Because we've got to keep it... let's get that shulker box up there, just to remind us of what we're doing here. I can't believe how, like... This is, like, one of my favourite things about Redstone, just... Oh, do you know what? I can't actually place... do you know what? I'll use a little trick. There we go. So, the player opens up, they put their deck into there. Let's see what happens down below. Give it a redstone signal. It extracts the information from the side. It's no longer bud powered. Perfect. So yeah, in goes our deck of 20 cards. Press the button over here. The card's gone instantly, which is just fascinating. And we got one item out first. In theory, it should be like every other. Well, you know, 50-50, right? But it probably won't come out exactly every other. So good. So good. Now, is there a chance that if you need 2 cards quickly... I think there might be a chance that if you needed 2 cards really quickly and 2 quick pulses came through, you might not get something, but due to the nature of the game we're playing here, I don't think that's an issue. So, when we pick out the first 7 cards, like, we're going to now need to build redstone interfaces with this. We'll do that in our next stream here, but like, we're going to have a signal that comes in and like, you know, does 7 cards. So we need to make sure we get something out. And I think the way that we'll do that is by adding something here. Okay, that will go off, but you need like a confirmation signal. So before you send in your next signal, you need to just get a confirmation that an item came out, I think. And I don't know quite how that would work. Like, you'd have a start of game condition, you'd have a circuit to make 7 pulses, but you need like a bit of a feedback mechanism that just says, hang on, wait until we're ready again. I'm not quite sure how to do that. Might be quite a mechanical thing too, like, I can think of this being useful. So like, a counter here for 7, you know, 1, and then you have to wait for the block to come back. When the block comes back because it's successful on that side, then this thing goes, alright, 6, bam. Something like that is what I'm picturing. Now, we might actually just bake this into the input itself, so it can be used by both the thing that says 7 signals and just if 1 happens to come through on its own. I'm going to give that some serious thought, because that's asking me to do things with redstone that I definitely haven't done before. By the way, I just noticed we had a raid from Dear Shemi. I'm so sorry I didn't say it sooner. Thank you for the raid, dear. Appreciate it. I was just engrossed in the redstones and stuff. But hey, we got some great ideas to move this forward now. I'm really stoked. Cybot has given us an amazing little contribution there, or a major contribution. Where's our objectives, right? Because we've sussed out the deck shuffler. This means we can really start to look at the process of automating the game, dispensing the hands, creating a turn button. Like, we can now link all of this together. And on that note, I wish you a Merry Christmas because of the Christmassy music. Jeez. That's time for me to wrap up my stream, peeps. I want to say a massive thank you for all of you for tuning in and all the support that you give me. It's greatly appreciated. Big thanks to everyone who subscribed, resubscribed, donated and cheered. Thanks to all the mods, the patrons, the people gifting subs. You do too much. Before you head out of here, be sure to hit that follow button. And please do go check out linktree.xisuma.co if you have not been there recently. We've updated it. There's now some playlists. Like, there's a clips playlist. There's Hermitcraft, Minecraft discussions. If you want more content, there's all kinds of stuff there you might not know about, like my guitar videos and things. So yeah. Anyway, I'll send you over to Cubfan today. It's not often I see Cub live. Let's go raid Cubfan. So yeah, check out Linktree. Stick around for the raid. Thank you everyone. Take care of yourselves. Bye.